HBCUs can boost your career, and the second specialization that I completed was from an HBCU medical school, Morehouse School of Medicine, Justice Involved Care Cohort, which equips professionals to address the recidivism rates in their community. This is important because it highlights the social, economic, and political detriments that keep vulnerable populations from achieving prosperity. This helped my career because I coordinate resources for homeless foster care youth, and 50% of foster care youth, they leave care, experience homelessness, becoming justice involved, SA, and unfortunately, addiction and expiration. This is also important because you have to understand how public health, justice, and recidivism are all connected. In fact, this is so important that we understand this because it affects other things in our society. I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, I went to city council to support a Stop the Violence fund that we have here in my city. And in the midst of that, in the midst of the deliberation, the community spoke, but also the council spoke. And the council spoke, and one particular council member mentioned that he did not see the correlation between housing, violence, and the fund that impacts both of those. He didn't understand that supporting people to remain and gain housing had an impact on the violence that's in the city and the recidivism rates. And despite some of the narratives, violence and crime are actually caused by the lack of resources, the lack of economic resources. So if somebody is housed and has resources for employment, and here's this, it gets deeper than just having resources for employment. You have to have transportation. You have to have vital documents to gain the employment. So an ID, you have to have something to identify yourself, and you have to have the materials to even get through a job application, and you have to have the mode of transportation to even get to the interview. So all of these things are connected. So just think about it. If somebody has housing and they have assistance to keep their housing, more than likely they will not commit a crime which they feel that they need to do to remain housed, to remain secure. They won't do that if they have these resources to remain housed, and therefore they will not commit a crime. For anybody who sincerely wants to learn about this, I think the Justice Involved Care Cohort at Morehouse School of Medicine is perfect because it gives you the tools and the knowledge and even just the point of view to understand that a lot of the detriments and a lot of the negativity that we see in our societies are not some moral or character flaw that's instinctive to the vulnerable population that people normally refer to. No, this is systematic. And even though some of us do know and recognize that it's systematic, we don't know how. We don't know that the $15 ID is linked to employment, that the $2.50 to get on a bus is linked to employment, and employment is linked to stimulating the city, is linked to the economic power of the city, and housing is indicative to all of that. In Morehouse School of Medicine, I have to give my hat, my kudos, my appreciation to the fact that they recognize that justice is a part of public health, and that is exactly why this cohort, this specialization was formed by Morehouse School of Medicine to understand that justice plays a part in public health. Even the individuals who do fall victim to recidivism, returning or becoming justice involved, leaving the neighborhood, leaving the household decreases the income and the value that's being brought into that household and the neighborhood that household is in. And these are the things that we have to understand. And being in that environment, being in these institutions after falling victim to recidivism, we have to understand that these individuals are more likely to contract some type of ailment or disease just from the natural environment that this comes from. So speaking about this particular council member who did not know how the Stop the Violence Fund needed a a feature, a provision, an option to support individuals remaining housed. They did not know the connection between that. And once again, the connection is if people are safe and secure and housed and they have options for income, more than likely they will not commit a crime. We cannot think about crime as some moral or character flaw. It's just indicative of poverty. It's indicative of a system that is not economically sound for these vulnerable populations. And unfortunately, when I was there at City Hall, at City Council, I noticed that we have an elected official who does not understand the public health lens, the justice lens, and the social, political, and economic lens that this particular Stop the Violence Fund was addressing. So we had an uninformed councilman, and that is why education is important. That is why the Justice Involved Care cohort that Morehouse School of Medicine offers is important, because it addresses these things in our community. And honestly, this is something that us as individuals, we could take up ourselves. We don't have to be a probation officer. We don't have to be a social worker or a psychologist that's addressing these vulnerable populations. We could just be a neighbor. We could be a neighbor, and we can help transport our neighbor to their job. We could carpool. We can share resources on social media. We can share resources interpersonally. We can share resources because everything is connected. Never once should anybody forget that we all live in a system, and we have to know the features and modes and capabilities of this system. So if you have a cousin, if you have a family member, if you have a loved one, if you know somebody that is falling victim to recidivism, there are actionable things that you can take to stop it. Employment, housing, security, and creating opportunity. Now, unfortunately, one of the things that this training, this specialization, has highlighted for me is that it's not a one-stop shop. Once you get the employment, once you get the training, once you get the housing, all of that, there's a confidence issue. There's a self-perception issue. Being institutionalized changes your own point of view of yourself, and sometimes the point of view of the world. And these are things that you have to address also. So when we look at individuals in these vulnerable populations, when the media creates these narratives, when we hear people making laws, and we see people that want to be tough on crime, we have to look for the people, the individual, the mechanism, the legislation, the laws, the policies that are addressing them and their situation. And then we have to get them help on the back end, because we're all human. We're all human, which means we have emotions, we have thoughts, we have point of views, and most of all, we have flaws. So once again, I believe in this conversation, this not only highlights how HBCUs can boost your career. Again, this is for anybody who works in those populations. But also, this particular specialization highlights how HBCUs can boost your personal life, can boost your familiar life. Maybe you have an uncle, a cousin, a brother, a sister, or whoever that can benefit from a Justice Involved Care coach, a Justice Involved Care specialist that knows that they need an ID, they need a mode of transportation, they need housing, they need these things, they need to get cleaned up, they need pep talks, they need some type of therapy so they can go hold down a job, so they can change their perception, so they can engage in the economic stratosphere that is our own society, so they don't always stay here at this level, but they can progress to this level. Maybe they can become business owners. Maybe they can take out a small business loan, which past executive branch administrations have made it possible for returning citizens to get business loans. So this particular specialization, Morehouse School of Medicine Justice Involved Care cohort, it highlights so much. It is so extremely beneficial. So once again, HBCUs can not only boost your career, but boost your personal life and our communities.